everybody. Welcome to FreeThinkers Fireside, where we put the human in humanist, one cozy chat at a time. My name is Helen, also known as Hellsbells. Happy spooky season, everyone. I'm still waiting for our guest. She's running a little bit behind. So in the meantime, I'm going to do a little promo. So sit back for 30 seconds, guys.
Boo! On October 24th at 7 p.m. Central, Skeptic Haven's throwing a spooktacularly silly Halloween fundraiser for the one and only Sadie Hergert, the interdimensional cosmic Kyle, and the delightfully chaotic Ember. We'll debunk ghosts, roast candy corn, and maybe summon a rational spirit or two. Bring your brain, your bucks, and zero tolerance for haunted Ouija boards. Donate, laugh, and help us keep skepticism spooky fun.
Okay, so we're gonna figure it out. We're intelligent people. Everybody is very smart. So we're gonna wait. So but in the meantime, if you guys we're gonna do this fundraiser for some wonderful people in the atheist community. It is again October 24th at 6 p.m. Central over on Skeptic Haven. Arm Raw, Secular Rarity, Jim Burrows, Neil, the 604 Atheist. There's a bunch of people from the community that are involved. There's just a few of who's going to be there. So please stop by. And I will be setting up to do the usual, which is having links so you guys can donate. Also, as well, if you guys can share once I get the links done, which will be this week. I can send over the GoFundMe to donate if you are so you can share. Also, I will have bumpers to share for people that can help promote the fundraiser. That'd be really great. So that is the plan. So we're gonna have a bunch of guests, and we're gonna have conversations about spooky season and why those of us that are secular realize that thoughts and prayers don't work. So the things that we can do to help each other is the most important thing. So this is why we're doing this fundraiser, because everybody needs a little help. I've gotten help from this community when I was facing some hard times. So, we're paying it forward, everybody. It is the season to be kind. So that is the goal of the fundraiser. And you can stop by and we will have live links during the show and it will be a very good time. So if you are able to be a part of the fundraiser and help promote and give a couple bucks, don't buy yourself Starbucks that week or whatever, that'd be really great. Okay, so I did some Shilling. So waiting for our guests. I sent them a link to join in their email, so hopefully they'll be able to find it. And this is and it's just a matter of waiting, guys. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful week. I'm doing okay. Overall, I think. So I wish I had more exciting things to say. Well, okay. Random. Me and my husband are going to be going to the Numa Marine Aquarium for his birthday because it was on the 3rd, and then he wanted tickets to go, so I'm going to buy them, and we're going to go this weekend. And they have a new because the original Marine, which was in Sarasota, was destroyed during Hurricane Irma, I think. And so they built a new facility, and they do research there to help marine life. And they also have some existence like stingrays and manatees and a couple dolphins. So it's really nice. So we're going to go. These are dolphins that can't be released into the wild. They have had health issues, so they have a habitat there. So we're going to do that. Okay. Tamara, I put you the link. I sent you the link in the email. I will send it again. And then you just need to click on it and that should take you to link you to the stream. So I'm going to send it to you again. And and hopefully you'll be able to click on it and join the stream. So we'll try that. Other than that, I don't know what else to do. So I'm sending it again. This is why I have people show up at 15 minutes early, because then these technical problems can be figured out. So, but that's okay. I can sit here and chit chat for a few minutes. No problem. I can fill your time. I'm intelligent and pretty, so bask in my glory, motherfuckers. Yay. If you have not subscribed, please do, and hit the like button. That is helpful. And also, if you want to buy me a coffee, that'd be nice. So that's why I can pay for my Streamlabs account. So there's that. Oh, Jason Friedman is going to be here on Thursday. We're going to talk about finding community in a shit world. So that's what we're going to talk about on Thursday. And then what else do I got coming up? Let me pull up my calendar. Let me see. Brentley is going to be here next Tuesday. And Drew and Stacy are supposed to be here on the 23rd, but I have to confirm that. It may not be, but I'll find out. If they cannot be here next Thursday, I'll just book somebody else. That's usually how it goes. Also, as well, and then the 24th is a fundraiser, so that's coming up. And what else I got going? I need to have more stuff going on my calendar. So there's that, guys. What else is going? Not what else is going on. I do need guests for November. So if you or someone you know wants to be on the podcast, email me right there at FreeThinker Fireside, not 3 fingers, no S, at gmail.com. You can contact me, or you can just slide into my DMs or for friends on Facebook. We can do that as well, and I will get you booked. So there's that. And I'm just talking about stuff. I have something more exciting to say. I don't really have a lot of exciting things to say right now. I got spooky nails. I have little spiders on my fingernails and spider webs, so I have that. That's kind of cool. Because this is my favorite time of year. It is spooky season, and I saw a really adorable Alice in Wonderland costume that I might wear. I might buy to wear my friend Lizzie's Halloween party, or I could be a gay unicorn. It's a very tough decision, guys. If you were going to vote unicorn or Alice in Wonderland, what would you pick? A gay unicorn at that. So the gay unicorn I don't have to buy, but the Alice in Wonderland costume is really fucking cute. So these are decisions that you ask yourself at 48 years old, is what you're going to dress up as for Halloween. So these important decisions, guys, are deep like puddles. I hope all y'all are having like a really, I know that this is we're a little slow today. It happens, hence the universe. But we're going to do our best. And let me see if there's anything else I have going. I can't think of anything else I have going on. How are you all doing? Y'all having a wonderful day. Taking care of yourself, drinking lots of water, trying to, if you live in the United States, try to find little semblances of happiness with everything going on. I'm very happy for my chosen family that I have. I've been very lucky in that regard, with the people that I care about. So I have to say, for lack of a better word, I feel blessed for the people that I have in my life. Because everybody's really cool. Hi, Godspeed. Welcome. Oh, zooted and booted. Hi, honey. Thank you for dropping by. We are waiting for the guest. I think the guest is having a hard time connecting to the Streamlabs. I did send them a link, but it may not be working for them, and I don't know why. Tamara, if you can still hear me, you may want to try it through Chrome. It might be your browser. So I use Streamlabs through Chrome. So if you're able to do that, you might be able to join through that. So I would try there. Maybe that will work. I don't know. I don't know. So we're waiting. if she's unable to show up, I might just see if anybody wants to hang out. You're more than welcome to hang out. I'll send you a link. That can happen too. So there's that. I'm just waiting. Otherwise, it's like I didn't have a speech plan. Usually, I should come up with like when this happens, when a guest can't join the link or gets canceled. I should probably come up with a fucking topic to talk about, but I don't know what to talk about and sound very like it could be intelligent or coherent or topical topics of the day, but I don't. Maybe I should. Maybe. What do you guys think? Okay, here's a question. You're all friends with me. Y'all know me. Do you think that I should so when this happens, like if I should maybe do random stories about fun facts, like I could look up some cool stuff and learn and talk about things like fun facts, do a fun facts podcast when when I'm having issues with a guest or a guest cancels. If you would like that, you can let me know. Maybe I should create a poll. If you don't think that, that's fair. I'm a chit-chatting. I'm sorry, Tamara, if you're having a hard time joining the chat. I don't know what's wrong on your end. Like I said, you can try to join through Chrome. Other than that, I don't know what to say. If you're still having problems, we may have to reschedule, which is not it's not an issue for me. People reschedule all the time, and sometimes this stuff happens. You should do a call and debate. Godspeed. Okay, like the thing is though is that I would have to get a phone number, and that's costs money. And I'm just trying to play for my Streamlabs account, so I don't think doing. I've gotten plenty of conversation. I've gotten into I like to call them conversations rather than debate because like debate implies winning, and what am I winning exactly? Like if we're gonna debate apologetics, I'm really good at that, but I don't. But also at the same time, I've kind of hit the point in my life. I really don't care if you believe in a God or not. I care more about how your belief is framing your your moralities. So $1 million, yes, $1 million. So I would love $1 million. Okay, so here's Tamara's here. Tamara is here. I think. So we're working it out. Honey, can you hear me? We're working it out, guys. All right, I'm gonna let her. She seems to be having trouble connecting. We're gonna hide her for now while she works that out until she can come up on the screen. I should be able to hear her once that is worked out. So we're gonna wait right now. We can do that. So I was like, I kind of at the point where I don't really care if you believe in a God or not. I care more about how people treat each other, because like the world is on fire, and I don't really want to debate with someone about if they believe in a God. But that being said, I do think that any belief or lack thereof can lead someone to not look at the world in a way that reflects kindness and respect to other people. I don't care because there are plenty of people that don't believe and they're buttheads. There's plenty in our own community that believe and don't believe and they're buttheads. And there's believers that are very kind, wonderful people. Also on the other end. So there's that. So here we are. So I think Tamara's trying to connect, but she's having there's no audio or anything. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. We tried it one more time. Also she can't get the picture. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna put you back, sweetie, until you get it figured out. I was hoping if I brought you in, it would work, but it did not. So here we are. Yeah. So yeah. So, but like, I don't mind doing college. Oh, here we go. It seems to me. Let's see that. Hi. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. I don't know. I cannot hear you, sweetie. Hold on. Let's see. Let me see. You guys can hear me in the audience. So go down. So next to the mute button, there is an arrow. What you want to do, you can select your microphone and your speakers. Okay, I think she can see me either. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So okay. I don't know. So if you go down to the microphone and hit the little arrow, you'll be able to select your microphone and speaker. So sorry, guys. This is live technical difficulties on Freethinker Fireside. Welcome to the show. So we're going to try again. Okay. We'll figure it out. We're smart. We're very smart people. I think so I don't know what's going on. It's very weird. So we're going to wait and hopefully we can make this work. So, it was a green day. I was wearing green earlier today. A lot of people wearing green, and my coworker was wearing green. So, it's a green day. Goodness sake, I'm filling up airtime. Anyway, I'm sorry I can't. I'm here, but I can't hear you. Okay, so Tamara, when you go back into the StreamYard, if you hit the microphone right next to the little on the bottom where it says mute, you'll be able to pick your microphone and your speaker. So and this way you'll be able to hear me. So maybe that will work. So try that. That should be able to work. So we're going to try this again. Try again. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can hear me. I cannot hear you. So it doesn't matter figuring out what microphone you're on. So I can see you, but I cannot hear you. We're going to try again. We're trying again. So, yeah. Technical difficulty, guys. It's super fun. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the audience waiting. I might have to chop this out a little bit or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So we're waiting. Oh, so Godspeed. I used to do debates on TikTok, but it was like I did it once in a while. Like, I did it through the ACA, like once a week, and it was like I liked doing them, but also at the same time, with it, it was kind of one of those things where I didn't mind doing it through the AC, and it has a lot of interesting conversations with it. And I heard some wackadoo stuff. Like I had somebody tell me that the contradictions in the Bible made it real, which was an argument I had. It makes it true. Okay, I never heard that argument before, and I don't think it was the gotcha that the guy thought it was going to be, because I was like, that's not how truth works. But it's just me. It wasn't the best. So, and I've heard some people were kind of sexist buttheads, but most of the conversations I had were really nice. There was a couple of theists. They were just like really nice people. They had one guy that would show up every week and tell me a few dad jokes, and he showed me pictures of his kitty cats, and he was like super nice. And I kind of miss that. I miss those interactions with people that were like really cool. So there's that. it seems like Tamara's still having issues. I don't know what's going on with the interwebs are not being kind today. Probably because I didn't. I don't know. I didn't sacrifice the right goat to the algorithm. Apparently, that sometimes happens. So, we're gonna wait for a few more minutes, see what happens. I'm gonna give it to like 7:30. And then like if it doesn't work by 7:30, we'll probably have to reschedule. And because I don't know what's going on. Okay, let's try again. Okay. I cannot hear you. Hold on, let me see. You okay? All right, I'm trying to see if it's me. Maybe not. I don't think it's me. It won't. Okay. I don't know. I don't know why I cannot hear you. It is a mystery of the universe. Because my volume's up. I know it's okay. It's okay. I don't know what's so I know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, guys. I have no idea. We'll give it a few more minutes. Otherwise, Tamara, we may have to reschedule. We can always do a test check before you come on again if we can't make this work. It's okay, like it happens. Usually it's because somebody like me or somebody else has the wrong speaker. But this is my default speaker, and so I don't know. Okay, let's try this again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry and embarrassed.
It's okay. Things happen. It's all right.
It would not turn my mic on, and I don't know if it's on my phone, and I was trying to do Google and iPhone and it would not sync.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Hello.
it's okay. We got it working. That's fine.
I apologize to the guest and to you.
Like I said, I apparently did not sacrifice the right goat this week to the algorithm. So apparently that's what happened. So I'm gonna say that happened. The algorithm was like, no, Helen, you cannot do your podcast.
And I have to tell you, you were in my calendar, and I've been here since 6:45. I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
Oh, okay. Because I was like, hey, I'm like, and then because if I'm a little bit late, somebody's usually waiting in the queue, and then I like pop on, and I was like, okay, maybe she thinks she has to be here at 7. I've also had people, I'll say 7 p.m. Eastern, but if they're in a different time zone, they're on their time. And then I'm like, hey, we're doing a show. And they said 7. I'm like, you said 7. And I'm like, it is 7. Like, on my time.
I'm here now. I apologize. And thank you for having me.
It happens. It's fine. It's like the world. This is a minor thing in all the craziness. So it is fine. So, Tamara, thank you for being on the show. Please tell the people who you are, a little bit about your background to get started.
Hi, my name is Tamara. I go by Jezebel on social media. I was raised Christian nationalist and in a cult till I was 27. I escaped at 27 with 3 children and started my journey to deconstruction and atheism. I now today sit on the board of Michigan Atheist. I am a proud feral atheist woman, and I always say that I'm here to fight patriarchy, all religion till no religion, one pulpit at a time.
That
Just
is
a little
awesome.
bit.
So, you said that you're a Christian nationalist, but what cult were you a part of?
Okay, so many people don't want to say that it's a cult, but it was Apostolic Pentecostal, but it was the right wing and on the spectrum all the way over to the edge and off the edge and yeah.
Oh,
no dresses, no pants, no makeup, no lips, nothing, no radio, TV, newspapers. Yeah, you name it. It was not allowed.
So I'm not quite familiar with apostolic. I'm familiar with Pentecostal.
Right.
What's the apos? What did you say? I'm sorry.
Apostolic. So apostolics. I belonged to the United Pentecostal Church when I was a young girl. Then my parents, when I was 5, followed a charismatic pastor to South Florida. They sold everything in their home in Michigan. My dad left his job, and he was a design engineer for the military, and he
Wow.
followed a minister to South Florida. Um, the Pentecostal church back in the 70s separated over women preachers, television, and godliness issues. So the United Pentecostal Church, or UPC, uh, became more accommodating to the world that we live in. But apostolics took it and went all the way. So basically, I was raised very as a simple person, as a simple people, um, very plain people. Our dresses were almost down to the ground. Our hair was in a little Pentecostal bun. You know, we were God's chosen, but Apostolic
Of
Pentecostal
course.
takes it to the extreme.
So so were you like not for lack of a better description like light Amish?
Actually, it's kind of funny because I have a friend that was raised Amish, and her and I was doing research, and Pentecostal separated from Anabaptist
Okay.
back in the early 1800s. So we just took on our new like theme of things and flavor and ran with it. But yes, if you looked at me without the head covering and the apron, you definitely would say, "Oh, she must be Amish." So I definitely looked Amish my whole life for the best relatable description of how I looked and was
That's
raised.
funny. So so you said that you escaped when you were 27. Did
Yes.
was it really difficult for you to leave? And were you married? Did you leave your husband at the same time? Because you mentioned you had children at
Yeah.
the time. So I'm curious, like, what was your journey out of the cult?
So the journey out of the cult when I was 27 started like 2 years prior to that, when I went to our pastor and I reported severe DB. I'm not sure
Mhm.
if I need to use phrase words for YouTube.
Domestic violence is fine, but
Okay.
usually when it's SA or unaliving someone, that's when the algorithm gets all weird because it doesn't
Okay.
understand nuance.
Okay, that's fine. So it was severe DB.
Mm,
Um, and I went to the pastor and I was like, I can't take this. I don't know what to
right,
do. He's going to unalive me. And he was like, okay, let's pray about it. And the next time
that's
I
gonna
went,
work.
yeah, prayer works. The next day was Tuesday night. It was a church night. We went into church, and I was thinking that I was going to get help. And when I walked into church, the pastor called me up to the front of the church and made me repeat to the whole congregation what I said to him.
Oh,
So then I was
that's fucked. Yeah.
majorly fucked. I was put after I told everything, and I was very meek and very submissive and very mild, and was all those proverbs, whatever that woman is in Proverbs, and my he put me on the back pew of the church with my 3 children and told me until I was going to decide to be a better wife, then I could remain on the back pew of the church. So for the next year, I sat on the back pew of the church with my children while my husband was elevated to the front of the church, and he was the one abusing me. And I sat there for a year, and every service I went to, I was brought, I had to confess my sins, how wrong I was, what I was doing. And finally I looked at people and I'm like, I'm not apologizing anymore.
Right.
I did nothing wrong. And the minute I said those words, I was a liberal woman. I wanted my own way. I didn't want to obey the teachings of God. It was the worst possible thing you can possibly think of, and then go a couple extra steps. So I
Wow.
was sitting in church on a Sunday. It was June 30th, 1999. and the pastor got up, and of course, all his sermons for the past year have been at me. Now, let me just make sure if I can say this for a little bit of context. They knew what he was doing to me because he did it in the church. He beat me up in front of everybody in the church. The men of the church
Holy
had to
fuck. I
pull
am
him
so
over me.
sorry.
That's okay, but I didn't know, and I was like, now everybody sees. Now I'll be believed. Now they know what he did.
Right.
And instead I was in trouble because all men have tempers, and I obviously wasn't being a godly wife.
So it's your fault. It's your fault that he's an asshole.
It was completely my fault. But I was raised in it from the time I was a little bitty girl. So I was just trying to be a good wife and do everything to keep this man from putting his hands on me. And the pastor told me I needed to repent. And I asked for what?
Right.
What am I supposed to repent for? And then he proceeded to tell me, you need to come to this altar and repent. Because I would not come to the altar with my husband, and both of us go to the altar and pray together and repent together and God save us together, then my pastor started calling me all kinds of names. He started speaking in tongues. He said that if I left the church, I would become a prostitute and a whore.
Oh.
I would never be able to do anything. This is from the pulpit, that my children would be drug addicts and that I would absolutely amount to nothing if I left these four walls of this church. And this was like during testimony and praise and worship service. And then when he got up to preach, he said, from now on, any abuse, any domestic abuse, child abuse, incest, sexual, anything that ended
Wow.
with abuse. If it ended with abuse, you were no longer allowed to take it outside the church, and it was to be handled by the men of the church. And no
Oh.
one was allowed to
Okay.
go to Egypt for help.
Oh
And
my
I walked
God.
up to my mom and dad. And of course, he's walking down the aisle. He's a fire and brimstone type of preacher, and he's letting me have it, from the word of God. And when the service was over, I walked up to my mom and dad and I said, the God of my childhood is not the God that I'm serving today. And I refuse to serve this God. I'm like, kiss your grandbabies. I will never be back. And within 3 seconds of my life of walking over the threshold of a church, I started my journey. I didn't know where I was doing, where I was going, what I was going to say. I didn't even know who I was, but I knew I would never be back there again. And I never stepped back until in August, I went back to the cult I was raised in.
I am so
It was,
sorry. That is so
that's okay.
jacked. Like, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. So,
What is amazing to me is that people, like you, I understand when you say, oh, this is just totally fucked. But when you're raised in it and you're indoctrinated in
yeah.
it, you think that's the only way. And that church is still standing today. And when I went back in August of this year, it is just like it was when I left. Nothing has changed.
I did a lot of work with recovering from religion,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard very similar stories.
Yes.
And but it's still never not shocking. Like, it's still in this youth. Like, I've heard so many horror stories of people being abused in churches, um raised with one worldview. They can't think for themselves. They can't look outside and question, or if they do question, you always have to come back to the church,
Right.
back to that belief in God, back to, the idea that you are a sinner and you are wrong. And especially if you're a woman, that if you're not
Uh,
doing certain things a certain way, then you are disappointing the men in your life, and it's your fault if he falls and does something wrong, because we're doing something correctly. So, like, yeah, it's fucked. And I think it's fucked because I always think it's fucked, because it's disturbing that abuse is tolerated in spaces that people go for to seek community and comfort and safety. And when you
and
don't,
this
it's depressing to me because I don't want people to go through that. you know
Absolutely. I mean, now that's why I speak out so much, and I don't mind my voice being heard today, because they count on you being afraid to speak. They count on
right.
it. They count on the secrecy. They count on the lies. They count on the shunning and the shaming to make sure that we never talk about it and never make sure people understand what is actually going on inside these four walls of these churches. In my church, there was over 20 women, 20 little girls, and it was still happening to this day. They were being SA'd and CSA'd. One of the young women had a baby by their dad. Do you know, when I went back,
Oh my
in
God. Oh
August
my God.
just
Oh
to
my God.
look. The
Oh.
men are still sitting on the pews of that church. And I was told by my brother, he asked me why I came back. He didn't know who I was when I came into the church house. I came in to look to see if it was still going on today.
Oh, your brother's still part of the congregation?
I'm the only one who left. When the
Oh,
minute I
wow.
left, my mother, father, 3 brothers, and a sister, I was the oldest of 5. They have never spoken to me in 30 years.
Wow. I am. Wow.
When I went
Wowie, wow,
back in
wow.
August, one of my brothers come walking up to me because they're going to love bomb me and invite me back to service, and asked me my name, and I knew it was one of my brothers. And I sat there, and he was like, "So what is your name?" And I'm like, "Well, can I ask your name first?" And he said, "Well, my name is," and he told me his name, and he goes, "And you are?" I said, "I'm your big sis." And he stopped in his tracks and started crying. And I looked at him, I was like, "Wow, you don't even know what your sister looks like." They had no clue. They didn't know who I was. They had never spoken to me before. So I agreed to go out to breakfast with another brother. Now, only 2 of my siblings would talk with me. The other 3 refused, or the other 2 refused. When I went out to, they asked me why I came back, and I said, I wanted to know. I wanted to see. I wanted to come back and get the narrative of my story out of your hands. And he said, when you came back to our church, you desecrated holy ground. That is a direct quote. And I said, desecrated holy ground? What are the men in your church doing? I walked on the property. I'm a survivor. I'm a victim of the
Right.
abuse that happened inside this church. But you say I desecrated your holy ground. And he said, listen, your dad and the other men of this church have asked for repentance. It is our job to give forgiveness and accept it. It is
Okay.
up to God whether or not they go to heaven. And I said, you are unbelievable.
Okay. Well, that's fucked up. I know.
A
Like
lot to
that's one
unpack
thing.
there,
Like
right?
it's so weird to me because like I grew up Catholic and left religion, but I didn't have any social consequences. Like it's a little weird because like I'm the atheist and activist, and a couple of my brothers are still believers, and the other ones are like they don't believe, but they don't. It's like I don't care.
Right, right.
So it can be a little awkward, but it's not. It's just having those conversations is hard, but I still have relationships with them. They still love me. I can still like I can call them up and give hugs, and I see them when I go visit, go up north to see my family. I've experienced minor shunning, but not to the extent where people will not talk to me. One of my brothers right now is just being a stubborn asshole and not talking to me, but that's a whole different end. But that's just him. It's his personality. It's not because of belief. There's a
Right.
difference,
Right.
but because like I'm going to choose this thing over my sister. It's one of those things that it's such a weird thing for me to wrap my head around, because like what is so important that you would shun your family? Even when I grew up Catholic, my dad was like, family always comes first. Like you put your family first. I don't understand. And if it was God's order, like I don't want to worship that God I can't be with the people that I love and care about. It's fucked up. It's so fucked up.
There's nothing to say, but it's fucked up. And when I
Yeah.
walked into that church house, it was just the way I left it. And I got this feeling, like this overwhelming feeling, that if I would have
Hold
stayed,
on. Yeah, but where is it in South Florida?
West Palm Beach, Florida.
It's in West Palm Beach. Okay. I live on the other coast. That's why I was asking.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry. I was just really curious that I had asked, but please continue what you were saying.
No, that's absolutely fine. When I walked into the back of that church house, right now, mind you, it's approximately 150, 200 people, and everybody is related. So everybody that I was looking at through marriage, you know,
Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned a child had
oh,
a
it's
baby
that
through their
too. But I'm
father. So
just
I
saying we
was like,
didn't marry, but everybody is related by marriage or through marriage or siblings or whatever. So I was looking at the congregation, and everybody there has known me since I was a little tiny girl. And not one person from my childhood, except 5 or 6 of the men, would even come up and speak to me. None of the women were allowed to talk to me after 30 years.
well,
Not
of course,
one.
because you need your husband to tell you who you can talk to, who you can't talk to. Duh.
Absolutely. And people are like, this is crazy. This doesn't happen. I'm like, yes, it does. West Palm Beach, Florida. And if you're in a high controlled religion or in a cult type of religion, this is exactly the way they behave. And they teach it to you.
Right, because that's the thing. Like, that's the thing with the cult, is that you got to get everybody on the same page.
Yep.
So, is how many members are a part of this particular niche of the Pentecostal church?
Nationwide, there's quite a few, but in our
Okay,
local church and our local assembly, it was like 150, maybe 200. I'm not exactly the complete head
but
count number.
it's small, but it's enough that there's enough influence.
Absolutely.
Okay, that is so like it's depressing as fuck, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry that you went through that experience. And it's just jacked. So when you were a part, did you get to pick your husband, or did the church like say like, hey, you have to be with this guy? God
They
has
don't say
ordained that you need to be with this man.
what they do, right, is that, you're not allowed to date. You have to, when you enter into a dating situation, you are getting married. So, but what happens
Oh, okay.
is
It's
that
the whole like there is no variety. Is
no,
no, can't do that. It's if somebody's interested in you and they woo you, that's it. It's
yeah.
it's so weird. Anyway, keep
They go to
going.
the
Sorry.
pastor, they talk to the pastor prays about it and decides whether or not it's God's will. The pastor then goes to the fathers and says, this is a good thing. This is God's will. You get the blessing from the church, and within 6 months, you're married.
Within 6 months?
Yes. Within 6 months, everybody was married.
Okay.
Yes.
That is not a good enough way to figure out if you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody.
Well, I guess their thoughts are is that if you're born and raised with them and you know what family they came from, then you know exactly what type of person that you're getting involved with. But when you start dating and courtship, you're married, like 21 and Counting, that show, you are married within 6 months. It goes from you enter into courtship, and courtship goes to marriage. Period.
I can't even imagine like because I've been married twice, and with my first husband, I lived with him for a year, and then with my husband now, we lived together we dated for a little bit, and then we lived together for a year, and then even when we were engaged, that was a whole other year. So 2 years before, we said, we took vows and decided to get married. 6 months without
You're
living
living in
together,
sin if you're not allowed to live.
you can't
Oh, I'm
kiss,
sorry.
like there's no like, are we sexually compatible?
You don't know
Right.
those things. You're not allowed to kiss. You always have a chaperone, and somebody is always in between you while you're dating until marriage.
That doesn't, okay. Weird.
Weird.
I've heard this like from other people before too, but it's just I think it's so foreign to me,
It
and
is.
growing up, even though I grew up Catholic, I grew up pretty secular as well,
Mm-hmm.
because my parents were like, we went to church every Sunday, but my parents were kind of liberal when it came to
Mm-hmm.
certain, like, you needed to date, you needed to get to know people before you would make any sort of commitments, like normal stuff. um,
That is not normal stuff in an apostolic Pentecostal.
right, obviously,
You
like,
enter into courtship. Your
normal is
dad picks
subjective. Like,
your dad, your minister, picks your husband, and you get married. And then you have babies. And most of the time, the women of our church were married by 15 or 16 and they dropped out of school. So
so,
I was raised,
so
yeah.
what level of education, like, did you go back to school when you left?
I finished school.
Mhm,
I finished my high school.
mhm.
And when we weren't allowed to go to college, our job was to be a good mother, and you did not have to have an education to be a good mother. So I went from so I was the latest one. I was the last one to get married out of our youth group. And basically, it's because I said the next guy that comes through that somebody says it's God's will, I'm marrying him. I'm done being, I was done being single because I was now becoming an old, what is it, an old prude and stuff. I'm like, I'll marry whoever comes in and marries me, I'll marry him.
Oh, okay, like the old maid
The old maid,
bullshit
yes,
that, like,
yes.
past certain age, men aren't gonna want you. Past certain age, if you can't have babies, you're not gonna be sexually desirable. Like, this whole narrative about, like, it has to be the youths, which is kind of gross when you think about it. If you're marrying like a
Right,
15-year-old, like, okay, like, this is a bad narrative, guys. Shut up. Like, they put
right.
people in prison for what you're doing, guys. Like,
But they're not
oh.
doing but they're not doing anything wrong, because in the state of Florida, you can get married with your parents' signature at 15. So
Yep.
my brother was 24, and he married a 15-year-old. The day she turned 16, they got married. Her wedding pictures are in her senior high her senior year picture book for her yearbook.
That's okay.
Yeah. I
As
come
someone
from
that's
that
raised
type of church.
teenagers, because about the like, you've raised teenagers. Like, when you look at when you think back when your kids were 16 years old, it's like, like, or when you were 16, like, no.
There's no way they're ready for marriage. But this is what happens. You get married when you're 16. You instantly have 4 or 5 kids because there's no protection. You're not allowed to do that. You're to, go forth and multiply. And then by the time you're 20, you have 5 kids. How are you supposed to leave a
So
church like that? You can't leave. There's no escape. There's no like, oh, here, let me go do whatever I want to do. You have no education,
there's
5 kids, and
there's
no way
no
of doing
support
anything.
if you want to go to college or getting a sort of job training.
You're not
So what did you
allowed.
do?
You're a
What did
female.
you do when you left? Because did you have enough, like, like, enough education that you were able to, like, navigate the secular world, or was it what was your experience?
It's still challenging to this day sometimes to navigate the secular world, even though I'm 55 and it's been many, many years. But when I first left, I came up here. I had distant relatives in Michigan. I packed everything into storage, took my
Oh,
kids to school, one morning, packed everything into storage, went and picked my kids up at 12 o'clock because I was afraid my parents would go and get them from school. And I left from their schoolhouse and came north. I had distant relatives that lived here that were not a part of my mom and dad's church or raising or upbringing or
mhm.
how I was brought up. And I came and moved in with my aunt, where I'll forever be thankful for what she did for me, because I understand how difficult it was. Basically, I was a stranger to her. And when I got here, one of her requirements is you have to enroll into college. And that's what I did. I moved to Michigan, and I enrolled into college.
Good for you.
And
That's amazing.
and then I just started taking classes that made me curious, and I started taking things that made me want to learn more and want to discover the world that I lived in. And yeah, and then slowly but surely, I regained my own voice. I'd be able to become more authentically me, and be able to pursue those things that I liked, wanted, and desired.
I think that's
was
wonderful.
a
Good for
journey.
you. Because living, I always say, like, living your authentic self
Hmm.
is exactly how you should live. Whatever, as long as you're not hurting anybody,
Right,
be like, do whatever you want. Just be kind.
right, right,
But I think that's wonderful that you got to, like, she was like, no, girl, you're going to school.
right, right. I didn't know anything. I mean, I didn't I, you guys, when I came up here to Michigan and came into school, I was so culture shocked. I did not know what to do. I didn't wear a pair of pants until I was like 29 years old. I did not know what I looked like outside a dress. I never cut my hair before. And when I did these things, now it felt liberating, but I'm like, I am going to hell.
Like, yeah, like, well, I'm gonna get an education, but I'm gonna be hanging with Satan.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to hell because I have an education, but I'm still going to get that
that's
education.
it. So I like. So how does and the cult, like, how do people structure their lives? Like, because money, like, money has to come from somewhere. Like if you're a part, like, does the husband just work, like,
Yes.
some kind of, like, what kind of work do they do?
Okay, so if you look and study cults, right? You
Hmm.
look at their men in in these churches, and they are very much entrepreneurs. And because they're such good, godly men, that the communities around them want to hire them to do drywall, want to hire them to build a house, want to hire them to be a mechanic on their car. So they
Ah.
exploit that. The women are not allowed to work. We were not allowed to go out day to day and work. We were to stay home and take care of our houses and our husbands and our children. And the men just they did everything. The men were allowed to go to college. The men had educations. My dad was a design engineer and worked for uh, Pratt and Whitney in South Florida. So he was military trained or
Uh-huh.
military for the military. My brother is also an electrical design engineer, and he works for the military as well. So the people in our family, they own homes and they flip
Right.
houses and they're into real estate. So for the most part, the men very much make very good money. And then
Okay.
whenever you're
Great.
coming in and you don't have money, or if you're just coming into the church, they hire you. The men that are, if you're just coming into the church as a male, they'll hire you and put you on their work crew. And then you automatically have a house, have a job, have, everything
Wow.
you need to be successful. And that's basically how they love bomb you and make sure that you stay.
I see. Okay. But like for example, like, let's say the husband, it gets sick or dies in an accident or something. Like, what happens? Because that income that somebody was generating, and and the women are at home with no education, no job skills. Like, I doubt they're taught how to even write a fucking resume. Like,
No,
what
they,
happened? Does the church, like, step in and help?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Then the church
But how long
collectively
did they get the wife
supports.
a new husband?
Yes.
Gross. Gross.
Yes to everything you just said. As
Gross.
you're thinking, as I'm saying it, I'm thinking this is going to make me throw up. This is so gross to admit. But yes, if the husband dies, the women will either go back into their father's homes or find a new husband, because that's the only way you're released to remarry.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 So, have other people left? Like, when you were there, did you see anybody else leave during your time when you were part of the church?
When I was a young teenager, there was a couple other teenagers, but they weren't like born and raised there. They were just they had come in later. You have those that are born and raised in the church and they're the pillars of the church, and then you have those that come in. And I saw one leave as a teenager, right? But as far as being a mother and of children, I was the first woman to ever leave that church. And
Wow. And
to this day, when I went back in August, Helen, when I was standing in the back of the church and I looked around the church, all the dads, all the men that were the abusers are still there. and all the women
they
who were
are.
little girls are still there. I'm the only one who left and speaks out
Wow.
against the atrocities that happen within Christianity and the walls of our for the four walls of our church in West Palm Beach, Florida.
That's
I was the only one.
Well, I mean, like, I have to imagine that it's one, like, it's that's the thing about a cult is that it's very insular. You're taught that the secular world's evil,
Mm-hmm.
and also that, and then if you leave, all the worst things are going to happen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you're worshiping Satan now, and your kids are absolute wrecks. They're all drug addicts, I'm sure.
I'm a Jezebel.
Oh, see, absolutely. Oh my God.
But I have to say
So
this:
shame
there's been
on
other
you.
women that
Shame
have left.
on you
Oh, I'm sorry.
for freeing yourself and getting an education and telling your kids, like, hey, make something of yourself. Shame on you.
Shame on me. I have to
Yeah.
say there's other women that have left and there's other families that have left now. But when they left, they went to other Pentecostal churches. Me and one other female totally left, changed their lives. She was a detective in South Florida for 25 years.
Oh.
And so she left and changed her life, and I left and changed mine. But most of them maybe get shunned and have to leave the church, but they go to another Pentecostal church. Me and this other youth from my youth group, right? There's only two
Mm-hmm.
of us that totally left and said, this will never be my story.
Right. That's wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful for one, and two, it just I have to imagine it takes so much bravery to be like, fuck this shit. Like, I have to imagine that's what because it's a matter of saying, like, I'm not going to do this narrative anymore. I'm not going to be part of these ideas that tell me that I have to listen to a man tell me, who I am and what type of person I'm going to be. And you don't want your children to grow up in that toxicity and learn
Right.
these lessons that are not good for them.
And the funny thing about that is, it's not funny, it's pretty sick, is that you don't know. You don't
Right.
know that. You don't know that what they're doing is wrong and perverse. I was sitting in psychology class at the age of 27, 28 years old when I realized what had happened to me was actually illegal and wrong.
Right. And that's the thing about that's the most disturbing part about a lot of this is that when you're there, you don't know it's abusive. Like, you
No.
just this is the norm. Like, it's like children that grow up in abusive households or grow up with parents that are hoarders, or like they just think that this is the way, and then they enter the real world and then they find out people actually don't experience this, and if they do, it causes problems, and it's
Yeah.
actually abusive, and it screws people up. And then when you're like, wait, I'm actually, like, I'm not supposed to just listen to a man all the time.
I
Like,
I
I can make my
didn't.
own choices.
Right. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know, I didn't know what a movie theater was. I never had a drink before in my life. And I know those like are so simple things. I never put on a pair of pants. I never cut my hair. I never watched TV. I never saw a movie. I never read a book outside what was approved by our minister. It would never dawn on me to go into a library and just take a book off a shelf and read it because I enjoyed it. It wasn't allowed.
Wow.
And when people are like, how can that be? This is not how the world is ran. And I'm like, yes, it is. If you're in a high controlled religion or you're raised in a cult, you know no other way. And because you are special, chosen of God, you don't even look for another way.
Right. Exactly. Because you're taught that if you do any of these things,
Hmm.
Jesus is going to get you. Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's going to be barely mad. You may baby Jesus cry. So,
And
and
if
it's
you're
just like,
sick, you
why would
sin.
God? And this is the thing that I'm always like, why does God care? Because if you're the most powerful being in the universe and you go see, like, I don't know, some, Marvel movie, do you think God is going to be sitting there and like, well, she was really great, but she went to go see, the latest Marvel movie, and now, I can't let her in, man. It's just like she saw a Marvel movie. Like, I'm like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense.
Right. I have to say, my humor is so dark now when it comes to those kind of things that people will look at me and be like, "What did you say?" I'm like, I blaspheme every day from the time I get up in the morning till the time I go to bed at night.
I would say blasphemy is therapy. It's like the more I blaspheme, I'm like, fuck God, fuck it all. I'm like, strike me down, God. Tell me I'm a horrible. Oh no, wait, nope, not gonna happen. I keep telling them to, it never happens.
Who is he?
I'm like, come on, God, come on.
Right.
And
you know, Helen, it takes many years to get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, I have always been in patriarchy relationships. I just left 2 years ago a 14-year, 15-year relationship. And I realized that for the most of that relationship, I was a complete atheist and was like completely like, I'm not doing this shit.
Right.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, I am doing this shit. What am I talking about?
Well, I think like what I would say is that like when you're an atheist, you've answered the simplest question: is there a God? I don't know.
I don't know.
But I'm gonna tell you what. That's the easy part. It's the unwinding of every single thing that you were taught.
Yes.
And especially from childhood, it's ingrained in you. Those neurons get connected, and it's such a chore to unravel them and be like, wait, hold on. I don't have to listen to what my husband says. Like, if it's not agreeable, I don't have to do everything that he wants me to do. I don't have to submit, you know.
Oh wait,
and I don't, and with the apologetics over submission and current discourse drives me crazy, because they're like, well, it's not real submission. I'm like, if you have to listen to your man make decisions for you and say like, this is your job, and like, well, I'm like, do you get to say no? No, you don't, because if you say no, God's gonna be mad at you, and you're maybe be Jesus Christ. So
you're not allowed to say no. You're not even taught that you're allowed to disagree. You're taught that whatever your husband says goes. Period. And when you're raised that way from birth,
I never listen to anybody. Like, that's what you're taught. And then like, that's the thing. Like when I hear these stories, like, I grew up in a somewhat patriarchal house, but my parents are products of the 50s, so like I give them like a small pass. But my dad like wasn't abusive. It was just the social culture of growing up in the 50s, you know, in your 20s. Like my parents were born in the 30s.
Right.
Okay, so I give them my mom, like, but when the feminist movement happened, my mom started using birth control. So there's that. So because she's Catholic and Catholics use birth control. So
we weren't allowed either.
It's like, you understand that there's problems with patriarchy, but it's not as bad as it could be. Like my dad was never abusive to my mom and loved my mom to death.
Right.
And that was it. But when you're in, you know the difference between, like, I felt safe in my house.
Right. Yeah. Right. You know, it never is a point of safety. Like I was talking with somebody the other day and they said, well, you know, go back to the time before trauma hit. And then you know how to live. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What if you're born into trauma? Right. There's not a point of time to go back to.
Right. Or let's say that time was when you were 2.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Well, is that people are like, I'm like, what?
Right. People don't understand that it is a lifetime of deconstructing indoctrination. There is not a day that doesn't go by. And I say this with pride now. I am not ashamed of this at all. That whenever I'm talking to myself and I start having the overthinking thoughts about, oh my gosh, this is not right. This, from indoctrination, that I'll speak it out loud. I'm like, that was an indoctrinated thought. That is not true.
Right.
But I have to bring it out of my brain into the universe and speak my truth to make sure that I don't get locked in my brain over an indoctrinated thought that happened 27 years ago.
Right. And I think that's the difference, is that silence is the shame. Silence is the thing that keeps you from moving forward.
Right there.
It's because that's what they want. They don't want you to speak out and say that this is an abusive structure. They don't want you to say that even if a God does exist, I don't think this is the way. This is not the way people are supposed to live, and they don't want that, because then they lose the control. And then you're speaking a different narrative that you're like, well, we taught you this narrative. It's like, yeah, but that narrative's wrong.
Right. And I have to tell you, my brother looked
And
at
you're a
me,
woman.
and I'm a
Speaking your
female on
truth.
top of that.
Yeah.
That is unheard of. Okay. And I can tell you, Helen, that I stayed silent. Do you know how old I was before I started speaking out about what happened to me? I was
50.
50.
Okay.
So
But better late than never. So,
I was 50
and I
years
have
old.
to imagine it, like, even though it might bring up certain emotions, it's also very liberating, because then you're like, I don't have to hold it anymore.
I didn't even know what to do. To say I was a DV survivor was the only narrative I've spoke since the time I was 27. When I turned 50, I said I am a CSA and an SA survivor.
Right. Yeah. And
And
yeah, I mean, like, I was sexually assaulted when I was younger, and I was SA abused by other children when I was a child. So it's a little different with the way I compartmentalize it. But as I say, I am a survivor. I moved from victim to survivor, and I'm now in this. I'm still dealing with stuff like, but post traumatic growth. Like, I'm moving beyond
right.
the things that happened to me, to help, one, to speak my truth, but also to help other people, and to know that there's
Right.
nothing to be ashamed of, because you did nothing wrong.
Right. And you have to get to a point in your life that you're okay to speak that from
Yep.
the highest mountain and say, I don't care what happened to me. If there's another little girl out there that is looking in my direction, if I can do it, you can do it.
Right.
Trauma is what maybe made me what I am, but trauma is not who I am.
Right. It doesn't define you. It just
It does not define me.
it's a
I
part
am
of it shaped you, but it's not you.
right. Doesn't have anything to do with who the essence of me is today.
Right. And I think that's a very powerful message, because there is that sort of if you, especially in being a woman in our circles, that you have to be defined by the things that happen to you, because we do experience a lot of bullshit.
Right.
And I think that people think, like, well, why do you talk about your traumas? Because one, and it's therapy, and two, it's like, well, if I can say, like, I survived this, I survived, I'm doing better now. It's because one person hears me, I'm like, hey, like, it's a struggle. I'm not saying it's easy. It's gonna suck balls, but once you get there, you're like, okay, like, I would say it's a boulder that you're at the
Yes.
first, and then over time it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then eventually you have pebbles in your pocket that you always have, and sometimes you take out and you look at the pebbles, and you're
Right.
like we're looking at our pebbles right now. But then
Right.
other
Right.
times, when you're having like some emotions and things get up, the pebbles fly out of your pocket, it hits you in the face. So
Sometimes you don't even see it coming. Sometimes you're like,
right, you're
that
just
was
like,
a damn
oh,
boomerang.
I'm having a trauma response right now. Fun for me. Like,
I have to say I have a very good therapist, and the closest thing to me my whole life since I left was my therapist.
hey,
She's like right in my
I'm in
pocket.
therapy, and I highly recommend, like, if you can get into
Yes.
therapy, everybody should go in therapy. Therapists should be in therapy. I want to live in a future where everybody has a therapist on speed dial.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right. It took me 19 years to finish college. I went and then I dropped out and I had 3 classes left, Helen. 3 classes. And
yeah.
I didn't realize when I dropped out I had 3 classes left. And then in 2023 I went back and finished my degree. And when I went to sign up for my classes, it was the 3 classes that were not allowed by females in our church. And I realized that
Ooh.
indoctrination kept me from finishing my college. I was so
What
angry.
classes?
And
I'm curious now. What classes were those?
political science,
Damn you.
science,
Damn you.
and speech.
Damn. Oh, really? Okay, well, I'm going to
Yeah, because with speech, we're not allowed to speak up and use our voices. So for me to get up, we're allowed to give testimonies, but we change our voice and say, "Praise God, Jesus healed me today, and I was able to do all these good things for somebody today." That was a testimony. But to stand up and say, "This is what's going on in the world today and world around you, and these are the reasons why it's happening, and it's because the women of the churches perpetuate the patriarchy and the discipline and the misogyny that goes on within inside the four walls of the church. The
Right.
men execute it, but the women are the ones who prepare it, entertain it, and promote it. And for me to be able to stand in front of a public space with a bunch of strangers and actually speak my truths was not allowed. And I have to tell you, I've always been like really good at school, but those 3 classes, my science class, I finished that class with a 4.7. I
Good for
didn't even know
you.
you could get more than a 4.0.
That's amazing. Good for you.
I was like, look at my badass go. I
Right?
not only went back and did my science class, but I did better than my science class. I'm like, oh no, this was so
Which
much
is
fun.
amazing. Good for you.
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing. And it's really funny because the fear of education, and we still experience now just in the secular world, like the fear of education, because when you have an educated public, things don't go up for people that don't want to control other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and once you kind of open your mind, like there's no, the truth, I would say the toothpaste is out of the tube. I can't go back to a belief mindset. It will be literally impossible because my brain
Impossible.
doesn't do it. Like I'm
Right.
naturally skeptical. Now you come to me with a claim, I'm like, you got a citation, man?
Right. And I said, and I always say this, and you'll probably understand, that being a Christian was so easy because now that I'm an atheist, I fact check everything. I go down so many rabbit holes that by the end of the night, my head is hurting. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this. And oh my goodness, I
Right?
didn't know this. I'm like, wow, it was so much easier just having one book to have to get all my
See,
truths from.
I grew up somewhat secular, but like so school wasn't the issue, but it was kind of like I wanted to believe that there was something bigger going on, especially when I became a pagan. Because one, it's very queer friendly and
Mm-hmm.
women friendly. So if you're gonna change religion, guys, become a pagan.
Right.
You cast spells, it'd be great. I always say the reason why I can't do it anymore because I don't believe in myself. Because I don't believe I can do it. I've lost faith in myself, guys. I'm not a witch anymore.
Right.
Anyway, lost faith in myself. But like
Right.
but the thing is though, is that once you get out and then your brain is in constant, I mean, not only an atheist, but when you become a skeptic, like
Right.
you're like, I don't think that's real. And
Prove me wrong.
prove me wrong. I'm like, prove me wrong in the nice way.
Right.
Like,
Right.
But usually like it is one of those things, like if someone's coming to me with a claim, I'm like, sure.
Right.
I'm like, you got citations? Right? You got something to back that up. Because in religion, they teach you that we have this book
Mm-hmm.
and this book is correct. And I'm like, this book said a man can talk to a donkey.
Yeah. That bushes catch on fire and voices come out of them.
What? I'm sorry.
No, I said that bushes catch on fire and voices come out of them.
I'm convinced that Moses just got some like, okay, you don't really hear voices on weed, but maybe he was schizophrenic. You don't know.
Or he found some special lettuce
Special
in there.
mushrooms. Yeah, or some ergot was going on. Like I'm like, this all sounds like psychedelic shit. Every time I especially Revelations, I'm like, this sounds like somebody was having a fever dream and like ate like 10 like psychedelic mushrooms. It was just like
and then it was like, oh my gosh, look at how amazing the world is. I was talking with somebody a couple weeks ago and they're like, they believed in Jesus. And I was like, they're like, you want me to tell you how I know God is real? And I was like, sure. They told me that they took shrooms and went on a trip and got the revelation and saw Jesus. And now they're a Christian.
I can tell you that I allegedly have done mushrooms allegedly.
Allegedly. Okay.
Allegedly. And I talked to
Allegedly.
Hippie Jesus. I talked to Hippie Jesus, and Hippie Jesus told me, I was like, hey, Jesus, what do I need? He's like, just be kind and love other people. And I was like, cool, Hippie Jesus, I will do that.
Right.
So I got Hippie Jesus. And
You got the Hippie Jesus.
Hippie Jesus is real, but Hippie Jesus told me be kind and love other people. And I was like, cool, Hippie Jesus, I will do that.
I thought that guy was kidding me, right? And I started laughing, and he got real serious. He looked at me. He goes, "No, that's why I'm a Christian today." I'm like, "That's the best fucking story I've ever heard."
Wow.
That's how you found
Good
Jesus.
for you.
Good for you.
I've had those conversations with debates with people where they tell me like, well, I tripped on drugs and then I talked to Jesus, and I was like, cool. People in other countries people have all kinds of experiences.
Right.
People talk to Muhammad, people talk to Shiva, people talk to their ceiling fan. So I'm just curious, like,
Right.
why do you think this is true?
It's amazing to me how easy they are to believe. They just that blind faith and belief is just like, well, I believe. Well, why do you believe? Well, because I believe. No, what makes you believe? Because the Bible tells me to
Because
believe.
the Bible told me I have to.
Right.
I'm like, we're going in circles. Like
Round and around.
there's
and
no path
around.
here. We're
Right.
just circling the drain, guys.
Right.
And we're like, okay, well, that's not convincing. Like I was saying before, like I talked to somebody on TikTok, and we were talking about the Bible, and he said that the contradictions made it true. And I said, that's not how truth works. Yeah, because we were
You're
having
right.
an argument because I was pointing out a bunch of contradictions and being like, hey, how can, these two things gel? Because like the gospels, like, the virgin birth is only mentioned in one,
Mhm.
so I like just that one thing. And people like a census never happened. The thing they have with King Harold, and there was a census that never happened. And why would you make people go to a different town for a census? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like why would you have your king in control of people? Why would you have them leave and go to a completely different town for a census? Like let's
Right.
like think about this. They don't like, and he was like, well, he goes, the contradictions make it true. And I go, what? I go, no. I go, that's not how that works. But that's the brain. This is a brain on religion.
That is a brain on religion. That is so true.
Religion is a hell of a drug,
Especially
guys.
if you know that commercial with the fried egg. This is your brain on
drugs.
This is our brain on religion.
Like, let's do the drugs, guys. It's better.
Right.
I'm
It makes more
not
sense.
promoting drug use, guys. It was a joke. Don't take this out of context. We do not promote illicit drug use on FreeThinkers Fireside. I'm pointing that out.
Right.
You do it.
Right.
You're on your fucking own. You can't blame me.
It has been liberating for me to be able to look back, because when I went back in the church that one day, I was sitting there on last month in August, and I realized that if I would have stayed, I would have been just like them. And I am so thankful today to know that I could go back and look at my past and never, ever, ever want, need, or desire to be as they are.
Yeah. And so when you left, okay, and you went to school and you did all the things and badass. What was your, I'm gonna just like, what was your experience of when you realized, like, because I came from this perspective when I joined this community, as a matter of like, what was your experience like misogyny within the secular world? Because it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing. If you look around and you see how many male voices there are for the atheist community,
Mm-hmm.
I was just at our Michigan atheist meeting tonight before I came here, and I was talking to the people in the group. I said, "Listen, I'm like, when I came here 2.5 years ago, there wasn't another female in this room. It is an atheist, it's Michigan atheist, but there's no females here. It is a bunch of it's and I don't mean, it's a bunch of old white cis men sitting
Right.
around debating the Bible as if that is exactly what needs to be talked about every time we get together. And the one gentleman, he's a little older, he's like, "Well, that's because that's who's atheist." I'm like, "That's not okay. That is not okay. The faces of atheism should be women like you and I that are
Right.
able to speak our truths and be able to do more than just speak about what's the good old days. We can do economics, we can do politics, and we can do social. And that is what Michigan Atheist does. Economics is helping and volunteering. Political is making sure that we stand up to our state and make sure state and religion and state stay separate. And then social is when we can get together and just hang out and have a good time. And those things are very important, but they're also important for the females in this community. And it is important for men to know that where we may not bring all the biblical knowledge or the Hebrews or what says in the Torah and be able to debate and debate and debate, there is more to life than debating whether there's a heaven or hell. There is more to life than debating whether there is, you know, anything you want to debate. There is more to life than this. And when I come on platforms and all I see is male voices,
Yeah.
and male voices that don't seem to be open to allow female voices on the same panel, there's a
There,
problem.
it's a problem.
You have
Like
now
one of the
taken
reasons why, like my
patriarchy.
channel is very small, but the reason why I do my channel is because I want to have it talk to many different people as I can, because
Right.
I'm a part of this community. I'm an atheist, I am a progressive, and I own a vagina.
Right.
like, like this
And
whole,
we
I know we have a mouth, we say things,
and a brain.
yeah, and also like there has to be diversity. Like there has to be trans people, there has to be,
Yes.
other types of queer people, there has to be people of color, um, people that are have some kind of disability, whatever that is. I'm kind of over here going like, we are as diverse as anything else, and we need a place. And if it's all just cis, I love all my cis straight white men. There's a
Yep.
few in the audience that I love you guys, but
Love them.
but also at the same time, I'm like, you have to make space for people that don't look like you. And because I don't own a penis doesn't mean I used to get into, I did debates on TikTok for a year with people on
Hmm.
all types. Like, and the thing is though, is that like, you don't have to know the complete history of the Bible to debate apologetics. It's
Nope.
very simple arguments.
Very similar.
You just have to go, does this make sense?
But it becomes a very circular, a very
Yeah.
echo chamber room. It is
Yes.
okay for the men to, and I appreciate it. That's where I've deconstructed. That's where I've learned a lot of my
Yeah,
information.
that's me too.
That's where I've done everything. But for you to like go from Christianity to an atheist, but still keep the Christianity ways of doing things, it is time to deconstruct those thoughts and that platform and say, you know what? She may not bring all the biblical knowledge, but her voice matters.
And I think that's the major thing is that the men that are able to study, theistic philosophy,
Hmm.
and to understand, um, like go through that process of understanding those things, it would be like, okay, fine. Like you had that privilege. I have
Hmm.
a different experience. I've deconstructed gender. I've deconstructed, that somehow being queer is bad. Like I've deconstructed, um, I've deconstructed this concept that because I have certain, I'm neurodivergent,
Hmm.
and the idea that because I'm neurodivergent, that people may not understand how I present myself and the way that I express myself. I think those ideas of like it has to be a cis straight white guy that can articulate properly is bullshit, because I may not speak as formal as another person, but I am very intelligent. I know the shit that I'm talking about, just because the way that I present myself and the way that I express myself may not be normalized, but because I own a vagina and I have a female voice, automatically there's like this default, well, they can't be as intelligent, they can't be as forthcoming as other people. And it's subconscious. It's not
That's
even
what I was
conscious.
That's what I was going to say, is because if you talk to our atheist men, most of them say, well, we're woke. Your
Okay. Do you know
actions
what that
say
means?
you're not woke.
Right.
Your behaviors say that you still are under patriarchy. Your behaviors and the way you respond to me and the way you accept me and the way you allow me to be a part of your world or the world of atheism tells me that you're not woke. Because you may have all the book knowledge in the world. I come with experience.
Right.
I can give book knowledge. You will never be able to get my experience.
Right, because you grew up under an extreme form of patriarchy. I grew up on a little, it's not patriarchy.
Right.
It's
Patriarchy is patriarchy.
Patriarchies. Some systems are more abusive, than others, but it's still patriarchy. And I think for like, and this is just, me, and not just me. I've had conversations with a few people that are here right now about how when you're in certain spaces and you're a marginalized group and you look out and you see people that don't look like you're kind of like, well, where's my space? And then you have men that are like going, well, we care about women's issues, we care about queer issues, and I'm like, yeah, you're saying the words, but you're not doing the thing. And
You
it's a
have a
matter of
panel,
doing.
and you, the men, are talking about female issues. And I look
Right.
at that panel, and there's not one female on the panel. When there are women like you and I that are out here that are willing to speak our truths to power, I want to say fuck that.
Fuck that. Yeah, because I'm
Put
always
a
like,
female on
excuse
that
me,
panel.
you don't, why are you talking about abortion? Why are you talking about issues of women, even if you're in the church, like not getting leadership roles because there's a stupid book that was written 2,000 years ago says this woman cannot speak. Like, that's what happened. That's why the Baptist church and the coalition of the Baptist church separated, because one wanted female pastors and the other one didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
And that's
like,
exactly
okay.
why we Pentecost split in the 70s, is because
Yeah.
they wanted women preachers, but the ones who went apostolic did not believe in women voices in the churches today. And let me make sure that the atheist men understand, I appreciate you, and I do love each and every one of you that have taught me and given me the instructions and shown me what it is to deconstruct and to be able to use my voice and articulate what I'm trying to say. But if you think in the back of your mind that we're too passionate, we're too loud, we're too, this or that,
You're too
you are
much. Always too much.
you are still a part of patriarchy. And I'm not asking to have the whole table. I'm asking for the men of the atheist community. And the men, and I just had this conversation with the men in our group tonight. I sit on the Michigan board now for Michigan Atheist. But it's important for the other women and the younger women to know that we're not just male orientated. We're not just seeking out male voices, that the female voices in the world today, and feminism means more than just acknowledging that we're a feminist for the men.
Right. I'm like, you not only want me at the table, you're inviting me to you want me at the table, and then you're inviting everybody else with you, because
As
I
an
always say,
equal.
like everybody gets pie, guys. Like, nobody's
Right?
gonna take your fucking pie. Like you can still have a voice. Stop thinking that if there's someone that it has to be a space for these type of people. I'm like, okay, I'm like, that's a narrative that you were taught. Is that narrative true?
Mhm.
There's always a like, and like for me, like that's what's when I started my deconstruction from believing in bullshit. It unraveled everything else because I was like, oh, I
Right.
was talking narrative about people of color. I was talking narrative being
Mhm.
queer and internalized, bigotry against myself.
Mhm.
Feeling bad that I was neurodivergent, like there was something I didn't fit into the world, and I was masking all the time, and it's
Mhm.
exhausting.
Exhausting.
And then when you
Say
get there,
that
you're like,
again.
fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, I have a voice too, and I have a place in the world, and I have things to share that I want to help people.
Right. And it's like, don't include us when we become big. Don't include
Right,
us when everybody starts noticing us. That's not what we're asking. We're asking for a place at the table right now, here today.
right.
Let
And
me be seen. Let my voice and your voice be heard. Let us know that we have a place, and that patriarchy and deconstruction of patriarchy and misogynistic ways start right here today.
right, and because if we're motherfuckers, by the way, put that on a fucking banner. But like the thing is, so it's like if you're deconstructing religion, then you have to deconstruct what religion teaches, that there's
Right.
an umbrella of protection where God's at the top, and then it's your husband, and then it's the wife, and then
The
it's the children.
children.
And I'm like, that's fucked up. Because and if your wife isn't happy, somehow that's not a reflection on the husband, where you have to work for a marriage and do things. Is because your wife is depressed because, well, she's not doing the right things,
Hmm.
and it's okay for me to like beat my wife in front of a fucking congregation and that type of shit. Like that's fucked up. It's fucked up. And if we're shunning queer people for existing as they are. We're people that are neurodivergent, they're treated differently. They're treated like something's wrong with them.
Hmm.
Like if I hear any more ableists talk about autism, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Like I'm over it right now. I'm like,
Right.
stop, just stop, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man, because you're dumb, because you're
Right.
choosing to be dumb. You could be smarter, but you're choosing. This is an active choice you're making to believe a narrative instead of
Hmm.
like taking the time to look up to actually look at the information and be fucking uncomfortable.
Exactly. And I want to make sure that it's very clear. I'm not saying that the men in our community think of us less
No,
than.
no.
What I'm saying is that you need to make sure that there's more opportunity, because I don't want men to think that, oh, we do invite them. I honestly understand that there are a lot of females that feel inadequate, insecure, and not quite to the educational level or the biblical knowledge that some of our amazing men in our community have. I never asked to bring that knowledge there. I respect
Right,
that and honor that. But there are things that affect females, and there are issues that affect females that men should not be addressing.
right. And like I don't really want cis straight guys talking about queer issues. I don't
Exactly.
mind support. I want them to say like we support our queer brothers and sisters. And non-binary people. We support, women. But as saying, like, if you really wanted to know about like, female issues and the things that they face every day, talk to a female. Don't talk to me. Like, don't talk to the cis straight white guy, because I'm just gonna
Hmm.
say, yeah, it sucks. You should go talk to a woman and get her voice on that, because we're the ones actually going through the experience.
But don't say go talk to a woman.
Yeah.
Bring that woman to the table for her
Yeah.
voice to be heard.
And be like, hey, come over here and talk about it, like why, bodily autonomy is really fucking important to women. Talk about that, because we're the one, like, even though like I say, like I'm done having children. I got spayed like a cat. But the thing is though, is that I've given birth, and it's
Hmm.
not a good time. Your body is fundamentally changed. And also too, like I did it by choice. I was allowed to make choices when I was done. I'm done. We're shutting down for business, guys. I'm like, it's all pleasure, not business. Shutting it down. And that is an act of choice I was allowed to make. And you're removing choices from other women to allow to make that choice on their own. That is what you're doing. And I don't want women to go through that. So I'm a person that can talk about it because it affects the women that I know and externally all women. That's what patriarchy does.
Right. That is so true. And that is definitely a passion of mine, because I find so many times that we're not dismissed by the men in our community. That's not what I meant, but we're overlooked.
Right. Well, and I think it's that, well, I'm not a woman, so I and they kind of put it, but and it's also like this white knighting kind of vibe where like, well, I speak for women and I want them to have rights, but I'm not gonna, but I'm doing it because I'm trying to defend them. And I'm like, cool, thank you. I didn't ask you to defend me. Can I please speak for myself?
Right. Because we want the support of our atheist men. But in order to, in my opinion, one of the biggest challenges that atheism has is making sure that not only is building community and building connections and making sure we feel connected. And it's important, that the group that I attend, doesn't look like where old men go to die.
Right. It doesn't want to look like God's waiting room.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I mean. And it's like, it's important to bring the youth in. It's important to make sure that they know. And the only way we're going to get people to come in and bring the youth in and get the younger generation to step up and come up and be a part of us is to make sure that everybody is at the table. Everybody.
Right. Like, maybe mentorship would be like a really good thing, like not even talking about atheism, just like being, a mentor to younger people, especially because there's plenty of marginalized kids that don't have like let's say you're a young gay 16-year-old boy, okay, and your dad thinks you're gross. They need a positive male influence in their life, not to be like their father, but like to step in and have someone to talk to, have someone that can teach them like skills that their father would normally teach them, but because they're gay, their father's like, I don't want anything to do with you, you're gross. That type of mentorship is so important to young people because they want to be seen. They want to know that they're okay, because we all remember being a teenager is suck balls. And but the people that were positive in our lives at that time made it easier.
Exactly. And it is so important to make sure that people understand that we're not against it at all. But what we're saying is that I did not leave Christianity and become an atheist to still like act like a Christian that I was.
Right.
Not going to happen.
So Kelly was saying that I saw there was a few chapters of secular student alliance in our area, and I was thinking about mentoring with them, so maybe we can look into that. That's like stuff like that,
Exactly.
Connect with secular groups that are helping kids.
And I think the word atheism, the stigmatism by me saying I'm an atheist, feral woman, that there is a stigma for some reason with saying I'm an atheist. Now, I do the same because, my handle is Jezebel. And the reason why I took on the handle as Jezebel on social media is because I was called that every time I did something wrong. So 5 years ago, I said, you know what? I'm taking the power away from that stigma. I'm Jezebel. I don't, if you want to get to know me, but I'm Jezebel, right? So because of the stigma that goes along with the name of Jezebel. And I think the same thing needs to be done by with being an atheist. And I need to be able to be proud, comfortable, and okay with saying, I am an atheist woman.
So my friend Mary is former Amish, and she wrote
a
poetry book called Jezebel's Justice.
Her and I are friends.
Oh, I didn't know you guys were friends. Oh, that's even better. Oh,
No, we're like Mary. Friends. We're like friends. We're like friends
You have to say, like, how bright you up on the show last night. Yeah, I'm gonna have Mary back on in December. So
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I had no idea. It's such a small world.
I
Like
know.
Mary and I are
listen,
such
I
good
talk
friends.
to all the trauma survivors.
Yes.
We're all in our own little group.
No, she'll like start laughing. I'll be like, guess where I was tonight? And she'll die laughing.
I was telling my boss, who's also my friend, about like just about my group, because they know I'm everybody at work. I tell people I'm an atheist. I'm like, yeah, I'm an atheist. And they go, and they go, what? I go, yeah, I just don't, I don't know if a God exists, and I don't care. I care more about if you're kind. And like, they can't argue with that. Like, I'm like, I want people to be kind. That's it.
Do you know
and then
earlier tonight when I told you that me and a friend were talking and we realized that Pentecostal separated from the Anabaptist?
You were talking to Mary.
That was about Mary.
I love it. I love it so much. Because it's too funny. But it is.
I just love you all the more.
When you're like you're gonna call someone, like, I wasn't called a Jezebel because they didn't really use that term in church, in the Catholic Church, and I'm like that one was a badass, and she stood up for her people, and she still got eaten by dogs, but she was a badass.
Exactly.
I'm like, you're just mad because you were like, it was weak for women to have power. You know, I'm like, it's politics, you bunch of fucking morons.
Exactly. This didn't have anything to do with religion or what you believed in. It was strictly politics. She was a queen of her country. As she said, my husband's weak, I'm strong.
Right.
Fuck them.
She was like, I'm like, listen, I'm like, I'm going to go over there and we're going to do some shit because he's not doing crap. And because he was a fucking vineyard. I'm going to go and get him his fucking vineyard. Okay.
Right.
Like, and then I'm like, I am sorry that I got shit done.
Oh my God. Mary's going to crack up when she realizes, when I call her tonight and be like, guess what I did?
That's too funny. That is just too funny. It's like, I texted her the other night because I was watching I was stoned watching The Last Unicorn with my husband. And I was like, I'm watching this movie because I can't see that movie and not think of Mary.
Right.
Because so I was like texting her and I was like, I'm watching The Last Unicorn. And we were like making jokes back and forth. And we were texting. So.
And I can tell you,
she's a wonderful human being, and
we talk.
They
every day.
They are wonderful.
They are wonderful. Yeah. We talk every day. Okay,
so you can tell them, like, I was on Helen's show.
I was on Helen's show. She'll be like, "Oh, you go, badass."
She's an amazing person, but
oh my God,
such a strong voice. No bullshit. I like, love them. Love them.
Love them to pieces.
Because we are, like, the thing is, though, I joke around. I'm like, we're a bunch of trauma survivors, you know, that are secular, that are just trying to, like, put a little kindness into the world, and we're advocates, and we're talking about bullshit, and we wanted the world to be better because we grew up in systems, or part of systems that were harmful. Even if I grew up Catholic, there's still harmful shit that I was taught. Do you know, like, because I was sexually active before marriage, and I'm queer, and I've had sex with all the genders, that my brain, like, will still occasionally go, Helen, you're a slut. And I'm like, but I'm a proud slut. Like, I have to tell myself that narrative, like, you're a slut. Like, because it comes up, like you said, like, you have to deconstruct yourself all the time. Like, I know there's nothing wrong with it, but my brain will go, you're a slut. And I'll be like, yeah, I know. No, that's a lie. That was a lie I was told.
Well, I was going to say, you say that, and I realized, they and I talk often. I was like, you know, being a demi is like the worst. It's like a blessing and a curse. Because that's how I identify. I was like, and who would ever thought that I would have thought that that's who and what I am, but it is.
Right.
Like,
well,
damn it.
It's one of those things that, like, being queer, I mean, poly, and and navigating that as an adult and not having any shame about it is because I told him, I was having a conversation with my boss, and I said, well, I'm poly, because I was talking about my girlfriend and blah 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 blah. I just say it. I don't, because I'm like, if you have a problem with it, that's your problem. I am not hurting anybody.
Right.
like
Right.
I'm just being
Right.
honest.
Exactly. 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 Here I am. This is who I am. This is what I am.
Right.
Love me,
Like,
hate
fuck
me. It's
you.
okay. I'm here.
No, because it's so liberating not having to apologize anymore and just being like obviously I don't like do this to my 93-year-old mother. Like I keep some stuff,
Well,
because
yeah.
she doesn't even know about my private life anyway.
Right.
But
Right.
like if I'm talking to anyone that's an adult that I'm just like, well, yeah, I'm married and, but I'm poly and I have a girlfriend and she's trans and, I navigate this. I'm also like a very annoying, very loud person with a lot of opinions online. And I don't shut up. I don't know how to shut up. I'm very,
You know,
and I go, that's how I exist now.
right. Right.
Cause
Right.
I was told not to speak. I was told, stifle.
Yep.
And I was too sensitive. You're too much, like
Hmm.
the narrative, either you're too much or not enough. I'm done.
Right.
I
Right.
still have those feelings, but I know they're not true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. We still get the feelings, we still get the thoughts, and we have to remind ourselves that is not true. And people are like, oh, you just want a label. You want to go around with a label. No, I just finally found out that there's a name for who I am.
Yeah. Right. And that's so important to find out, because like I don't think gender's a thing. Like I'm like I say like she they because
Uh-huh.
I'm like I present myself as cis, but I don't think gender's a thing. It's not a thing. It's
Right.
just a narrative that how we categorize people,
Right. Right.
And
Right.
then so I'm kind of like, well, it's not really a thing, but it's the pronoun I use because it's easier.
Right.
um, you know, um, and I'm not going non-binary. I'm too cute. So non-binary. Not that non-binary people are cute, not cute, but for me, I like my makeup. I
Right.
like being a girly girl. So I'm too cute for
Right.
that. Totally
Right.
supported my
Right.
non-binary friends. I love you to pieces. Anyway, but like, because
Well, this has been
yourself. You know yourself.
right. 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 And what I don't know about myself, I'm learning.
Right. And I'm going to be learning about myself probably till I die.
Right. And the day after,
And
if
that's
I
the wonderful
become a
thing
ghost.
about being human is that you are never done. I'm happy and I'm like I still have stuff to work through, and
Mhm.
but that's just being a person and existing in the world and having a lot of emotions that I have to process all the time.
Right. It's being
But
human.
being human, the one thing about being human, if you are in a, if you're honest with yourself and you have support, you are never done. You will always change, you will always take on new perspective if you keep an open mind, and you not so open that your brain falls out.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, because that can be a problem. So what
This
would
is
you,
fun.
if you were going to say like, hey, atheists, what do we need to do to be better? Like, what is one small step that you think people could start to do to make our community more inclusive?
Oh, wow. To make our community more inclusive, I just honestly believe that we need to open the table for everybody to have a place and make sure that people understand that just because you may not have experienced my experience doesn't mean that your experience is not important, doesn't mean that your voice is not important, and doesn't mean that you're not wanting to, that there's not a place for you to be seen and heard. And I think that we really need to just work together, create womanhood, create sisterhood amongst the atheist women of our community, to build us stronger and to build us up, and to make sure that we all know that we're out there and we're willing to join hands and form a sisterhood. And I think the stronger that the circle becomes, and people understand that womanhood and sisterhood is such a viable um, thing in atheism today,
Mm-hmm.
that we'll be able to take this to the next level. And I just really appreciate you having me on tonight. And I
Oh, thank
thank
you.
you
So
so
Kelly
much.
told me, she's like, you should have Tamara on. And I was like, okay, well, you recommended her. and I trust you. So,
I hope she did
thank
not
you.
disappoint.
Thank you, used goods, Kelly. I don't like. Do not insult yourself. Thank you very much. You're not
I
used
love
goods.
Kelly.
You are refined, Kelly. Like,
Right.
you
I
are
just
refined
adore
like
Kelly.
wine, which is one of my favorite things in the world.
And I get to hang out with Kelly on a weekly basis. I love her to
I
pieces.
love that. I met her at the back cruise in Austin this past August, and it was like instant friends. Like done.
Exactly.
So,
Which
yeah.
I'm hoping to come to next year with
Yeah,
Kelly.
I don't know if I'm going to be there, but I will be.
Oh.
I'm going to be at some atheist conference. I'm going to be at. I'm going to go. I plan to go to NanaCon.
Okay.
And one of our other somebody in the community. It's not official yet, but I can't announce it. It's going to probably be doing another one. That I'll probably go to that one. So
Okay.
I'll be around.
Well, wherever Kelly goes, I get to go with her.
Well, I'll be like, I'm going to tell Kelly we have to go to NanaCon because it's in Tennessee. You can drive.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we can all go to NanaCon together and we'll hang out.
Maybe we can get married to go.
Oh my God, we can get married. We can get an Airbnb too.
Yes.
Yeah, see? Vacation.
So much fun. Oh my
We'll
God, it's so much fun.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to go eat my dinner. So, thank you, Tamara, for being on. I'm sorry you had technical difficulties, but that's fine. It happens. It's the name. I told you I didn't sacrifice the red goat. So
it won't make me hear you. But thank you. This was the best.
Where can people find you?
I am on all social media as Jezebel. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have a podcast that I do called The Awakening. It should be in my link tree. If you go to TikTok and Jezebel, my link tree is there. Thanks to my beautiful friend Kelly. She helped me get it set up. But yeah, so I have our podcast is called The Awakening. And we talk about deconstruction, and Mary was a part of our the Awakening podcast a couple weeks ago. So definitely come out and join us. A new episode drops every Wednesday, and if you would love to be on it, we would love to have you. So yeah,
awesome. I want to be on it. I'll be on.
Yay!
I'm inviting myself.
Freaking awesome.
I'm volunteering myself.
Well, I have to get your email, so I'll reach out. Oh, I have your email. What am I talking about?
I'm like, you have my email. Like,
that was a moment.
That would be something I would say. I'd be like, I have to get your email, and it's like, Helen. Like, I'm like, oh. That's okay. This is when you say that you're like, I think you're pretty. At least you're pretty.
I think you're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, whenever I do things like that, I'm like, at least I'm pretty. Okay.
At least I'm pretty.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, y'all. Go to the Awakening podcast. Go follow Tamara on the Tiki Talkies. Stuff's in the description. Do that. Thank you again so much for being here. This is a really fun conversation. And like I always like to hear people's stories, because hearing you grow up in like such a high control abusive group to become the beautiful, wonderful, intelligent person that you are, I think is awesome. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, guys, come on Thursday, 7 p.m. Jason Friedman's going to be on, and we're going to talk about building community in a shit world. We're going to talk about that.
Let's do that.
His new affordable mental health project nonprofit that he's starting. So we're going to talk about that as well. So I will see you all here on Thursday at 7 p.m. As a reminder, I'm going to play the bumper one more time for the fundraiser we're doing on the 24th. And I'm also going to remind everybody to be kind, stay skeptical, give someone a compliment, and I will see you all on Thursday. And I'm going to play the bumper one more time before we go. Because I'm a good promoter. Okay, so pull that up. I'm gonna pull it up, and then all right, and then bye, honey.
Bye.
Bye. All right, I'm gonna play this, guys, and then we're gonna move on with our lives. Let me share my screen. Share. Share on. There it goes. Okay, on. Show on. No, not you. All right. Hold on. Not you. I don't need you. You're gone.
God.
I'm taking you out. I'm a professional, guys. Watch me be professional. It's great. Okay, let me get this done. All right. Share screen. Screen. Bumper. Share. Full screen. Play.
Central, Skeptic Haven's throwing a spectacularly silly Halloween fundraiser for the one and only Sadie Hergert, the interdimensional cosmic Kyle, and the delightfully chaotic Ember. We'll debunk ghosts, roast candy corn, and maybe summon a rational spirit or two. Bring your brain, your bucks, and zero tolerance for haunted Ouija boards. Donate, laugh, and help us keep skepticism spooky fun.